5, 16, 19, 21, 33, and 10. Check results. You remember?
That's 97. Pod a day. Podcast a day gets Doctor away. This, and then 8, 9, 10, 100, and we're at 100. As I said, I'm going to probably mention that every single day up until we get to that now, which isn't that long. It's only like 3-4 more days. Wearing a hood again. Messy hair. No one needs to know that. Also, I don't know why I always feel like I need to comment on visual things when this is primarily an audio-based type of medium. But here we are. Seen a couple of things today we can talk about, very sport-related. Anthony Joshua, one of them, and Cristiano Ronaldo, kind of the other one. So let's get into those things. Bottle in the background, let's get rid of that. Again, I'm doing the visual thing again. How is everybody doing? Hope everyone's good. First thing I saw, Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua exists in a world for me, in a category of people that I really want to like. I did like at some point in time, but do just kind of irritate me, or like sometimes little things or clips come out and they just bother me. And I remember once I had an argument with someone about the baby, or it was somebody on stage. It's when people are on stage, things get thrown at them or something, and then they smash up the phone or something, or like they get pissed or something like that. And I had an argument with someone, and you know when the argument kind of gets lost in the fact you're arguing and you go on a bunch of tangents, and then you kind of get like, the point you're actually trying to make gets lost, right? And what I was trying to say was what the argument ended up being was whether he's in his right to be annoyed, right, when you're up on stage. Like, if someone throws a shoe at you and you're on stage, right, are you should be, you're allowed to be annoyed that someone's just throwing those dirty shops on stage where you're trying to be performing and this and that, right? And I'm not really disputing that. I'm not disputing about whether you're entitled to be annoyed. All I'm saying is I like people less when they do, like that you can't just control yourself in that scenario. Like if you're at a show, Travis Scott? Yeah, Travis Scott, when he was playing apparently all that demonic music to get people like hyped up in a weird kind of way. Not saying that's why people ended up being dead, but that's because you're trying to create these crazy mosh pits, right? And you kind of like live off the fact you have the most insane like audience and fans and stuff who just like get beaten up in these mosh pits or watching your shows, right? Then how can you be mad when like a shoe gets flung up on stage when you're creating an environment where people are getting like over excited and hyped and stuff, and then not really thinking, and just like, what I'd prefer is you just be, if you do want to say something, just be like, yo, I know everyone's enjoying ourselves tonight, but let's not be throwing up. So when they try and make a scene out of that particular person who ultimately is like a fan of you, and that's the main thing, that you can do something in the moment because you're like excited and you're acting out a little bit, showing off a bit, you're focusing up on stage, you're trying to be the main character, is he gonna like this and that? But at the same time, it's like these people are like paying to see you, and they're just fans. And like at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, maybe you felt it was inappropriate, but just like, hey guys, don't do that, And if it keeps happening, then sure, say. But like when they got to do the whole like, I don't know if you've seen the clips of like the baby and stuff, and like certain other people like smashing. I just feel like it's just like, come on, man. Like I did one little stupid thing in your show. I'm excited to see you. I paid to see you, and then okay, yeah, I shouldn't have done it. I know, but you smashing my phone up, like, for you, that's just like, I'm making a point, I can do what the fuck I want, I'll smash your phone. To me, it's like, that's my fucking phone, man. Like, obviously, I would never do it. These people who did it, this is what I'm saying. I can see why the person smashed it, and I can see, like, oh, you were stupid for doing that in the first place. You throw your phone, you better be accepting of the fact you might not get it back. That is also true. But at the same time, I just, like, these two things can both exist at the same time. You can acknowledge that is a possibility of something that will happen, but you can also acknowledge that, like, maybe I just don't like that possibility. Like, maybe I just prefer it when people don't do that. It just makes you feel a certain type of way. When Anthony Joshua, that one time, people were shouting from their window, uni students, probably half drunk, right? Shouting from their dorm room or whatever, like, you're Anthony Joshua, you're a pussy, mate. You got knocked out or whatever, you're a pussy, right? And then him being like, yo, buzzing in, like, yo, let me upstairs. Sitting them down, being like, Okay, now say it to my face. You think that's acceptable? Guys, you really can't be doing this to people. Blah, blah, blah. Let me teach you a lesson now. And like giving them a little lesson. It's like, why are you walking into that like I just feel you're a sportsman. You're gonna get abuse. You're gonna get abuse whether you win or lose. But especially when you lose and you get knocked out to someone, and you give it the big, and then you come across in a certain type of way. Like after the fight with that whole like speech he was given after losing to Usyk, I think it was. And that I just find weird. It's just like, to me, like, what are you trying to prove? Some little runt uni students just called you a pussy, and you felt like you had to go up there and prove, no, you wouldn't say it to my face, though, would you? Like, type of thing. It's like, in the grand scheme of things, me calling you a pussy or something because you're ducking fury or something like that is warranted. I can say that and also be like, yeah, you'd beat the fuck out of me. Like, it's all relative. If it's like when football fans are shouting at a player who just missed an open goal, you're fucking shit. It's like them walking up to the stands and being like, okay, 1v1 me then. Okay, skill game, let's go. First to 3 nutmegs win. It's like, yes, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, now, I'm talking relatively to the sport we're in the Premier League. You're fucking shit. You just missed an open goal from, what you get paid 200k a week to do. I'm sitting in the stands paying however much just to watch you do that. So like, I understand people in this it's like Michael B. Jordan's the same category for me. It's like he's someone I want to like, but then I saw that little thing in the interview where he like called out the presenter woman. I already spoke about this for like calling him like corny in school, and I just thought that was just unnecessary. I don't know, man. I just feel like maybe it's because I don't know, man. I just don't like. I don't even know what the word is, because it's like, I also don't feel like, because I'm talking about something which I feel these people are fully in their rights to be annoyed about. Their reactions are fully warranted and fair. I would just prefer it if they react in a different way. That's all. So it's like, it's not even that like they're doing something wrong. It's more just like a thing where it's just like, I'll just happen to like you less as an athlete or a person, I guess, or like. Especially just like in terms of like musicians up on stage, you can do whatever the fuck you want. It's like when Ronaldo smashed that fan's phone out of his hand, and you had to like offer him free tickets to a game or something, and then get charged for this and that. And it's just like, I don't even know what point I'm trying to make. I think what I'm just trying to say is Anthony Joshua, the main point of this is that he said he will just retire if he loses this fight. And by the way, this fight to someone, I don't even know the fuck he's fighting. I'm not really into boxing that much. I know the main people. He's fighting some random guy. I'm not sure. What's that? You call me a fucking random guy? Want to say it to my face? No, you'll beat the fuck out of me. I don't watch boxing. To me, you're just a random. Who are you, mate? I don't know who you are. He might, and I think even people who do watch boxing and know of this fighter, I think everyone's sort of under the assumption that it's like, we want to be seeing Anthony Joshua in these upper echelon fights. And maybe he's just not cut out for it. And maybe it's not even a physical thing. Maybe he mentally has just kind of checked out. He just can't really find the stride he was in. Some people, it's like, I don't know what the word is for it. But like, if you're good at something which you've never tried before, this obviously it's not directly relating, but like, if I tried skiing or something for the first time and I just picked up straight away, or snowboarding, because they say snowboarding's hard, and I just picked up straight away and I'm like, oh, this is easy. I'm great at this. But then I take a really big fall like 2 years in after just being great and having no hurdles. All of a sudden I can't do what I was doing before because I didn't realize what I was doing before was so tricky. I just found it easy straight off the bat, and I didn't realize the dangers if I fell. And then I fell, sprained my ankle, and I realized, oh my, it's that easy to fall. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I didn't realize, type of thing. So it's like, Anthony Joshua, he was just like knocking people out for fun. He was the knockout guy, and then he stopped being the knockout guy and just started to become, well, he always wins. And then he got knocked out by like a chunky man, and then it was just kind of like, oh, okay, I'm not indestructible. And then it was just like, he went on these other, and then you got, and it just kind of like the whole narrative changed, and maybe like his trainers weren't the best for him. I don't know. These are stories I've heard, but yeah, he said he'll retire if he loses. I think you kind of would be forced into a spot where you kind of have to, like in boxing. It's like, how are you going to create? Like, people wanted to see the big fights. You missed the opportunity where you should have went in for the Fury and stuff like that. And now, how are you going to get back to that point where you're like entitled to fight someone like Fury when like you're losing to people Fury's beating or aren't even on Fury's level to fight? So That's what I would say. That's what I would say. I would say the people who love boxing were robbed of that Fury AJ fight. And even if it was obvious, even if Fury was always going to win it, or even if at the time, if he took the fight at that particular point in time, maybe Anthony Joshua could have won it. I don't know if it was that likely. I think the bigger issue is the people were robbed of seeing it happen, the event as a whole. So yeah. Also on the other thing, I would say is although I sit here and I'm like, I don't really like it when I see like people on stage or like athletes or whatever like do these kind of like illogical things. It's also important to mention I'm not in that position, and if I was, I'd probably do some shit, some shit maybe. And I'm not saying they regret any of the shit they do. I'm sure Steve Lacy would stand by smashing that person's phone, and I'm sure Anthony Joshua would stand by going up to that student's apartment or whatever, and I'm sure all these people would stand by those things. And whether you stand by it or not, I think it's important to remember, that if you was in that position, what do you think you'd do? And a lot of people were never in that position, and that's why it's easy to sit in your chair or wherever you're sitting and be like, I wouldn't do that. I'd maybe do this instead. But it's like, when you're in the moment and it's an accumulation of things. You see it all the time. People lash out and stuff, and it's like, well, that's because that was the sprinkles on top of what has been an absolute shitty little situation for a long period of time now. So I'd also say that. The other thing I saw, I don't know, I'm speaking Saxon. The other thing I saw that was sport related, football, Ronaldo, and I've spoke about this before, but I don't know if I've done it here. So I'm going to say it now quickly because I saw the quotes resurface, but I remember speaking about it at the time when he first made the points, right, about his son, which, by the way, first of all, his son plays football, looks to be pretty decent for his age category, right? Firstly, right, he plays at any youth academy, which his dad plays for. I don't know if that's just straight up nepotism, right? Like, I'm sorry, what do you mean? He doesn't do a trial there. He just joins. His dad signs for a team. I don't know if it's in the contract, but his son is now just playing for that team's youth team. And it's like, what's the logic here? You just go, 1 minute is at Real Madrid, 1 minute is at Juventus, 1 minute is at Man United. That being said, it actually does seem to be decent. But I think whether you're good or not, you should still have to have a trial. You should still, the team should still want to sign you. It kind of just feels like you have to walk in. Anyway, that's not what I want to talk about, though. My more point is that he clearly seems to be decent, right? And fair enough, when you were moving between Real Madrid, when you were moving between Juventus, and you were moving between United, all these, high-profile teams, yeah, sure, drag your son along the country with you and put him into those youth systems. But when you're moving to Saudi Arabia and then you're bringing your son to play in that youth team now, kind of feels to be a bit more like of a selfish. Most kids move away from home, to play football, so they're not with their family all the time. They have to move away, sometimes far away, sometimes to a different country where their family are, because the chasing the dream. Like, I don't know why Ronaldo's son doesn't have to just be whatever Ronaldo is. Ronaldo could leave United and leave his son in United to develop there. And I don't know if it's maybe Ronaldo's son's making that decision, but at that age, do you really want to be training in Saudi Arabian youth teams, because you're clearly above that level? Surely it'll just be a walk in the park for you, hat tricks every week. And when Ronaldo keeps saying these things, right? Yeah, my son he looks to be pretty good right now. Whether he will grow up to be a great footballer, I don't know. He still does things that annoy me. Sometimes he drinks Coke. Sometimes he eats sweets, and he knows this bothers me. I tell him, go get on the treadmill, go dive into the ice bath to recover. And he's like, Dad, I don't want to, it's cold. And I say, look. And a part of me is you look at Max Verstappen, and people always have a go at Jos Verstappen, right? And stuff like this. But then you're like, is this not just a large reason why Max is a killer, though, and why he's kind of going to be the GOAT and is kind of already untouchable, a large part down to this sort of ruthless father figure. And I don't feel like Max probably resents his dad. So for him, obviously, it's down to the child how they take it. But it doesn't seem like Max resents that much. But it's Ronaldo. So you could say it could all work out in that way. But I hate this whole thing of Ronaldo. I'm the best, and I usually set the art facilities, and this is why I'm the best. And it's just it's just, I find this whole thing stupid. Like, yes, in the argument, right, Messi is the one with the natural talent, and Ronaldo is the one who like had maybe less talent but had to work there, and the different versions of how you can become the best, right? But I just hate this whole like, it's not as straightforward as Messi talent, Ronaldo hard work, as if Messi didn't also do hard work and also doing extra hours and also wasn't the last to leave training sessions or whatever, right? I just find it so silly that Ronaldo's son, from whatever young age, probably a lot younger than he is now, is had to have been no coke, no this, no that. As if Ronaldo was doing that at that age. When Ronaldo was that age, we've seen the photos. He had 4 teeth, straggly hair. He was playing out barefoot in whatever country, you know what I mean? Probably just scranning down whatever foods the family could afford. They weren't very rich, you know what I mean? So I don't know why he's acting like his son is not going to be... The only way he'll be the best football player is he never eats a Mars bar. Never has a packet of Haribo's. If you eat that Starburst, you just went down 10 rankings in the Ballon d'Or. It's just ridiculous to me. It is. These things are not going to make the difference. And I know that's not a GOAT mentality thing, right? That's what GOATs will tell you, right? It's not a GOAT mentality, to say that it's very fine margins. But like, what they also need to understand is, yes, you've got there because of this me mentality and this and that and this, the extra hours, but also because you're really fucking good. And I know there's a bunch of really fucking good people who completely fell off. They say Andy Murray's brother was apparently better than him, but had less of the work. And I'm not saying you can get to the GOAT status with zero work, but like Ronaldo's perception of things, I think, is like so slightly skewed when it's just like you also had so much natural attributes there. And like there is players playing in the championship right now. Young players playing in the championship. There's players playing maybe even leagues below that, or players in the Premier League or whatever, who have put in as much work as Ronaldo. They're as strict as Ronaldo. Even maybe put in more hours than Ronaldo, and they're playing for Wigan. So like this whole thing about, he had a drink of Coke. Oh no, knock 2 years off his career. You know what I mean? It's just like, and especially like you think those things are going to make a massive difference. And sure, maybe they will in excess. But you know what else will make a massive difference? Whether your son's the GOAT or not. His early years in terms of development, and maybe dragging him out to go play youth league football in Saudi Arabia isn't the best for his development. So maybe that will have a huge impact. You know what I mean? But hey, I'm not telling you how to parent your kids. I just think it's funny, like the perception of people, because I just hate like the whole like when footballers or pundits, right? You hear an opinion of anyone like who's a fan or something who isn't done it, and they say, well, you didn't do it, well, you weren't good enough, you never played at this level, you never did this, and that's why you're wrong. But it's like, well, at the same time, like just because like we have different points of view. There's things I will never see and I will never understand because I was never in your position about football. But then there is also things that you will never understand about football as a player because you were never in my position. You were never not good at the sport. You were never not just existing as a fan. Like footballers who are like, oh, they just don't get it. They've never been in the dressing room. They don't understand what it's like to actually be a footballer and this and that. And they have no idea what they're talking about. They have no idea what it's like. It's like, okay, sure, that might be true with some aspects, but you have no idea what it's talking about, what football even means to some people, maybe, because you've existed this whole time, from that side of the fence, and you don't know what it's like for maybe this group of people who go to the games every single week, what it means to them, what it meant to certain people, struggles they had, and this other stuff, and you've been told it, but you'll never really know either. So it's like there's two sides to it. I just feel like let people have their opinions without just completely knocking them to the side saying that was bullshit because you don't know. But anyway, that was a lot of like random points, probably a lot of random contradicting points in one pod, kind of talking about all things sort of mentality, football, sport related. I don't know. We kind of went all over the place there. So don't take anything I said and don't quote me for it verbatim somewhere as if those are my definite thoughts. I didn't think these out before I said them. They're just sort of vague things I'm saying. If anyone challenged me on them, I could fold because I'm not definitely sure I agree with everything I just said, but I think I do as of right now. But this was 97 of Pod a Day, and I will see you guys all in 98.
Here with the kids, and have like 3 kids, and the geezer was probably on like maximum 20 bags a year. Like the most boring bloke you'll ever meet.